Here we go. Happy Wednesday. Welcome into Philadelphia Eagles Now. We're live here on Chat Sports. I'm Chase Senior, producer Chip, here with you as well. And no matter where you are, how you're tuned in, we appreciate all of you for making today's Eagles Now a part of your day. Of course, on this September 11th, we never forget the heinous actions of that day and really appreciate everybody who sacrificed their lives, who did not make it, and those who were able to escape and still live after that. A lot to get to here on today's Eagles Now. Saquon Barkley named the NFC Offensive Player of the Week. We have some Eagles lineup news at the linebacker position. Could Howie Roseman bring back Haason Reddick? That conversation has started to pick up even more momentum from when we last talked about this a couple of weeks ago, because Philadelphia, a little bit light at edge rusher. And where the heck is Bryce Huff? We're going to describe how the Birds can dominate the Atlanta Falcons, and is Devin White going to be on the move? All of this and more coming up on today's Eagles Now, live here at Chat Sports. Really appreciate all of you for hanging out here with us. And let's get the comment section going here. I see a lot of legends and real ones in the chat. That includes my guy, Dennis Designs. Great to see you back after losing hope, accidentally blocked you, but I made you the moderator for this live show. Where are you at? Let us know. We're coming to you from Studio H in the Chat Sports Studios, and as you venture in here, please make sure you hit that thumbs up icon and you like the video. Nighthawk is in Connecticut. Easy as his name is in Dallas. Dragon saying, yo! Philly Knight saying, bring Haason Reddick back. Little G Griffith, I see you as well. Sandra is in Boynton Beach, Florida. Paul is in Virginia. Earth is also in Virginia. Greg Terrell is a real one. Cool Rain saying, hi Chase, hi Chip. Cool Rain's been fun to interact with you on X. Aussie, Aussie, Aussie. Oi, oi, oi. I see Fayetteville, North Carolina, Oklahoma. Another person watching from Virginia as the Bird Gang going strong in the state of Virginia. Continue to let us know where you're watching from. Miguel Garcia watching from Dallas. That's where the Chat Sports Studios are at. So when you see producer Chip, you'll actually see the neighborhood of Uptown State Thomas and downtown behind producer Chip. Funny enough that you say that. We're closing in on 200 people watching live, so continue to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. DC at the Capitol from Gil. Life is rough living with all these Cowpokes fans from Easy is his name. Yeah, but it's also great because I can just go on runs rocking Eagles gear and everybody just gives me that sick and disgusted look. And you know what I say? Go Birds! The King Dylan getting us started with the $20 super chat. I love it. Just sending in a super sticker. Really appreciate that donation and all of the donations that come in. A super chat, pretty much like a tip. Just you guys saying thank you for everything that we do. A programming reminder, be sure to join us for our Monday Night Football watch party. It was insane how many people watched the show last Friday night. We set a record for the most viewed watch party in the history of Eagles Now. 300,000 views. Now, we did do a 90-minute pregame show. Should we do that again? If that's the case, let us know down in the comment section. We could certainly make that work potentially, but at the very least, we will be doing an hour pregame show, Monday Night Football, Lincoln Financial Field, Eagles, Falcons. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so that you can join us. And here's our Super Chat menu for today. All Super Chats will get a shout-out. $10, smelling salts. $20, we have to sing Fly Eagles Fly for that $20 super chat which came in. We're doing a competition in the month of September. Whoever sends in the most $50+ super chats, you get a customized jersey from us here on Eagles Now. And today, I walk into work and my boss hands me this, a Saquon Barkley Philadelphia Eagles jersey. Ooh. So if we get to $100 in total super chats, I will do a beer boot in this Saquon jersey. So let's get it. 220 people watching live. Let's get to 100 likes. Really helps out the stream. Kind of boosts the stream and the algorithm, and the more likes that we get, the more people who come around, and the more fun that we will have. And it's all made possible today thanks to our friends at Game Time, the best ticketing app in the industry. If you're looking for the best seats at the lowest price guaranteed, and you want to go to an Eagles game, Phillies game, Sixers, Flyers game, or you want to go to a concert, comedy show, theater event, more, Game Time has you covered. You can see the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. You can access tickets from your phone, which is an awesome feature. And I also like the Game Time picks. Curation makes it easier to save more on all of these tickets. And Game Time also has the lowest price guarantee, or they will credit you 110% of the difference, and your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS, for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Create an account, redeem that code, download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. So if you're ready to start the show, continue to pepper that thumbs up icon, like the video here. We really appreciate the support. We want this to be as big of an audience as possible. We're past 233 people watching, and we are 36 likes away from 100 likes. Producer Chip is making this entire show possible. Chip, great win for the Eagles against the Packers. How do you think things fare against the Atlanta Falcons on Monday night?
Yeah, I feel pretty confident going into Monday Night Football, man. The Falcons did not look good in their Week 1 game against the Steelers, as we'll talk about. Kirk Cousins still looks like he's dealing with some of the ramifications from that Achilles injury he suffered last season, and as a whole, the offense just wasn't as explosive as you'd like to see it if you're a Falcons fan. Now, they were playing the Steelers. Great defense in Pittsburgh, but I think the Eagles didn't play their best football and still won against a really good team in Green Bay. So if they clean some things up, play a little bit better, find their playmakers, I think at home, especially in prime time, they can get the job done relatively easily.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's very well said. And this is some of the things that we've been talking about over the last couple of days. If Philadelphia can iron out some of their wrinkles and clean up some of their mistakes, they still dropped 35 points despite turning the football over 3 times. The defense gave up big plays. They were also really good in the red zone and on third downs. Shout out to our recent commenters here. I see Eric Stewart, Big Al Williams, Amari Rivers, Gregory McBride. The Super Chat initiative today. We already have a $20 Super Chat which came in. If we get $100 in total, I'm doing a beer boot in this brand new Saquon Barkley jersey. We're 20 likes away from 100 likes. Continue to hit that thumbs up icon. Like the video. Really does support the show. And we have a loaded program coming your way with 4 segments total. We are going to cover so much ground. And as we always do, my mission every time I'm in front of this camera, on this microphone, is to give you the most entertaining, insightful, informative, thought-provoking Eagles coverage right here on YouTube. And we're going to check those boxes here on today's Eagles Now. So people continue to like the video, continue to comment. We love to see it. Elijah Stovall, one of our Super Chat OGs, is in the building. He said 24-13, Birds win it. Cool Rain's going 40-15. We will be doing a segment on how the Eagles can kick the Falcons' ass. But to start the show, we have some lineup news to talk about. We're going to talk about Saquon Barkley as well. And where the heck is Bryce Huff, the $17 million per year player? He's in the witness protection program. Philadelphia Eagles Now officially starts right now. We do have to do that Fly Eagles Fly fight song for that $20 Super Chat, which came in from the King Dylan. We won't forget about that. But for now, let's start the official show, and let's go. We have another loaded show coming your way on today's Philadelphia Eagles Now by Chat Sports. Chase Sr. here with you, and no matter where you are, how you're tuned in, as always, I appreciate you for making today's show a part of your day. And here's the Eagles Now rundown. Eagles running back Saquon Barkley, after a tremendous debut in Week 1 against the Packers, named the NFC Offensive Player of the Week. Vic Fangio today naming Nakobe Dean the starting linebacker, even when Devin White comes back? We have to tackle this question because it's a huge mystery. What's going on with Bryce Huff, the $17 million per year edge rusher? And we have some other Eagles news and notes to get to, as one of their draft picks was stolen away from their practice squad by the Los Angeles Rams. Let's begin here with Saquon Barkley. This morning he was named the NFC Offensive Player of the Week on this Wednesday, September 11th, and he deserved it. No offensive skill player was better than Saquon to kick off the 2024 campaign. And after that terrific Eagles debut, he's honored with this weekly award. And here's what he did in Brazil against the Packers. A couple of wow plays for Saquon. 24 carries, 109 yards. He's able to average 4.5 yards per carry through the air, 2 catches, made his impact felt, 23 yards, 11.5 yards per catch. And as we know, he totaled those 3 total touchdowns. The 1 dime ball from Jalen Hurts, first Eagles touchdown of the season on the wheel route, in which Hurts dropped it right in the bucket. And then 2 rushing touchdowns for Saquon as well against that Green Bay defense. And when I went back and watched some of the tape, some of the plays that Saquon was able to make, incredible. This is a player who's not washed, even though Giants fans try to tell me that he was. This isn't a player who's declining. He is still quick, explosive, fast, physical, nimble, and we saw that especially on one of his touchdown runs. Imagine here being Quay Walker, number 7 for the Green Bay Packers, and you shoot this gap, and you have Saquon Barkley right in front of you, and you're in a good position for a disruptive play, for a TFL, and you think that you're going to be able to tackle number 26 Saquon Barkley. But look at the eyes of Saquon Barkley as we break down the film here. He sees Quay Walker shooting through that hole, but then Saquon Barkley, with his short area quickness and burst, able to cut to the right, and he crosses up Quay Walker like an old school Allen Iverson crossover. Look at him break his ankles right here. Quay Walker is like, oh no! And he quickly realizes, I don't think I'm going to be able to make this play. And in a blink, Saquon Barkley, with the explosion, goes right past Quay Walker. And I love how he's crossing the goal line. Just gives a little hop into the end zone. And then kind of did that trademark touchdown celebration he did at Penn State, where he's going like this, so excited. That's the ability of Saquon Barkley. We saw it on display in his first game as an Eagle. It has to make John Mara, the owner of the Giants, absolutely sick. And Philadelphia is a city that always loves quality running back play. And Saquon Barkley is a very marketable player. He's from the Lehigh Valley. He went to Whitehall High School. He played his college ball at Penn State. And how about this list here? Top 5 selling jerseys in the National Football League going into week 2. Saquon Barkley has 2 of the top 5 selling jerseys in the NFL. The second highest sold jersey behind Caleb Williams of the Chicago Bears, it's the Saquon Barkley Kelly Green. I just got mine as I walked into work today. CJ Stroud at number 3, Bo Nix at number 4. Then it's Saquon Barkley again in the midnight green. So actually midnight green here, that's this jersey. The Kelly Green, number 26 at number 2. Really impressive, and Eagles fans are elated that he is ours. So thank you to the New York Giants for not signing him, not being able or willing to pay him, and allowing Howie Roseman to say, you know what, we'll take number 26 off your hands because he can change the dimension of our offense. So if you're pumped up that Saquon Barkley is an Eagle, I want you to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video right now. Story number 2 here on the show. Nakobe Dean has been named the starting linebacker for this Eagles defense by defensive coordinator Vic Fangio. Fangio met with the media today, and he said even when Devin White comes back off his ankle injury, Dean will still be the starter. Now, we talked about this 2 weeks ago here on the show. Remember the Jeff McClain report? There were a lot of people chirping myself and Chip in the comment section saying, it's ridiculous that you're talking about this. There's no way that Devin White is going to lose the starting role to Nakobe Dean. We explained why that could be the case. It ended up happening, and with how well Nakobe Dean played against the Packers, he's not going to relinquish that role. And against Green Bay, I thought he played really good ball. Went back, watched the tape. I was very impressed with what he did. And when we were watching the game during our watch party, in which 300,000 people joined us, he really showed up. And this is why you can't always trust the Pro Football Focus metrics, because they didn't have him as a highly graded player against Green Bay. He only had an overall PFF grade of 29.3, a run defense grade of 34.6, a pass rush grade of 50.2, and a coverage grade of 40.2. He played so much better than those awful grades on your screen right now. And this is why sometimes in all of sports, I say analytics, data, statistics, they're really important. But you can't go all in on analytics. Your eyes don't lie to you. Sometimes you have to make gut decisions, right? And our eyes told us that Saquon, or that Nakobe Dean was making plays all over the place. He was an impactful player. He was a disruptive player, and he blew up a couple of plays. There were plays against the run. There were plays in short yardage. That big hit that he put on the ball carrier and the pass catcher in the flat. Nakobe Dean, as an inexperienced player in this league, was able to read, diagnose plays, and have a really good feel for what was happening in front of him. Now, did he miss some plays in coverage? The one Jaden Reed 70-yard touchdown, Pro Football Focus actually credited him with messing up that play. I didn't think it was on him, and C.J. Gardner-Johnson should have made that tackle in space. But yes, Nakobe Dean did miss some plays, but he's also a pretty inexperienced player. And with more experience, if he can continue to stay healthy, I think that even though he's undersized, he can use that football IQ to continue to be a focal point of this Eagles defense. And alongside him at that other off-ball linebacker spot is Zach Bond. So you have Dean balling out against Green Bay. You have Zach Bond, who led the team in tackles. Where is there a spot for Devin White in the starting lineup? That's why he's lost his role. Fangio saying that he was impressed with what Bond did, as were all of us. And he also said Philadelphia is going to continue to utilize his versatility, because the New Orleans Saints had primarily used him as an edge rusher. The Eagles did a little bit of that. He had 2 sacks, but they used him as an off-ball linebacker as well. And Zach Bond's Pro Football Focus grades against Green Bay were really good. And I actually buy stock into these grades, not Nakobe Dean's grades. Overall grade of 76.2, pass rush grade of 77.9, run defense grade of 62.4, and a coverage grade of 78.9. He logged 2 sacks. One of those sacks ended the game against Malik Willis. 15 tackles, 12 of which were solo, 2 TFLs, and 2 quarterback hits. And obviously, Howie Roseman doesn't like to invest a lot of money into the linebacker spot. Barely paid anything to Zach Bond. And Nakobe Dean, as a former third-round pick, is not making that much money either. But if they could continue on this ascent, and they could continue to have this quality of play for this Eagles defense, it's really going to help this unit out at that second level. So where does this leave Devin White? Fangio said today he will still have a role. What I would do, Devin White is really disruptive and really talented when he's used as a blitzer, when he can kind of not think too much, pin his ears back, use that speed, burst, and athleticism to get after the quarterback. What did the Eagles struggle with against Green Bay? Rushing the passer. I would use Devin White at times as a stand-up edge rusher. Why not? He's really good in excelling in that role. If you like what you're seeing here on today's show, this is the standard for Eagles Talk here on YouTube, and this is what we do on a daily basis. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. We're closing in on 100,000 subscribers. So far, we've hit these 2 stories. Saquon, Player of the Week. Nakobe Dean, named the starter. Next, what's going on with Bryce Huff and an Eagles rookie poached off their practice squad? Stay tuned for that. But first, let's give a shout out to today's sponsor, ZBiotics. Get 15% off at zbiotics.com/chatsports. You can also scan the QR code on your screen right here. This is really an incredible product. Pre-alcohol is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. You know what happens after our watch parties, right? When we get crazy, I have to take down some Z-Biotics because when you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this product down. The science behind this is wild. Just remember to drink this probiotic before drinking alcohol. Drink responsibly and then get a good night's sleep to feel your best tomorrow. The first time I tried Z-Biotics was last year after a watch party. As instructed, drank a bottle of pre-alcohol before any alcohol, and I was amazed at how good I felt the next day. I have a running streak that's past 500 days. I'm hitting the gym 4 to 5 days per week to do some lifting. I can't afford to be feeling crappy after a night of drinking. So I just tried pre-alcohol for the first time last year. I've continued to do so. And honestly, I can say there is no better way to feel my best the morning after drinking than with Z-Biotics. So stay in the loop. Go to zbiotics.com/chatsports. You can also scan that QR code on the screen to get 15% off your order when you use Chat Sports at checkout. You can also sign up for a subscription using my code so that you can stay prepared no matter the time or the occasion. Z-Biotics is backed with the 100% money-back guarantee. So if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they will refund your money, no questions asked. So zbiotics.com/chatsports. Use that code ChatSports. Thank you, Z-Biotics, for sponsoring today's episode and our good times. Next up here on the show, what is going on with the big-ticket free agent acquisition in edge rusher Bryce Huff? Vic Fangio said today in order for him to play more, he needs to separate himself from the other guys. That is not what you want to hear from a player who you gave $34 million in guaranteed money to during NFL free agency. Bryce Huff, in his first game as an Eagle, was fourth at his position in snaps played, and he logged less than 50% of the total snaps against the Green Bay Packers. This is a player who got that $34 million in guaranteed money, $17 million per year, and there were red flags that we were talking about in the preseason and during training camp. That second preseason game, Vic Fangio was playing him deep into that second quarter. I thought he made some good plays in that game. On that quick pop pass to the wide receiver, he made a good play against the run. We know that last year he led the Jets in sacks with 10, and he can get after the quarterback. He wasn't a highly graded player against the run last year, but Vic Fangio doesn't seem to be a huge fan of Bryce Huff, and to me, this reeks of a Howie Roseman signing of a player that Vic Fangio isn't a huge fan of. Huff against the Packers. No sacks, no pressures, no hurries. And as we know, going into this year, edge rusher was an unknown commodity for this football team going into the 2024 campaign because you were relying on an older Brandon Graham, Josh Sweat. Is he a scheme fit? Is he not? Nolan Smith, he's also completely unproven. Bryce Huff had one really good year of production, 10 sacks last year, and now seems to be in the doghouse for Vic Fangio. Here's what Fangio said during training camp. Does he look like he can do it today when asked about whether or not he can be a three-down player? No. I do think eventually he will. That is not a ringing endorsement, and the fact that he played less than 50% of the snaps in week one is not a ringing endorsement either. And keep in mind, Vic Fangio is from Dunmore, Pennsylvania, neighboring town of Scranton. He's old school. He's a football guy. He doesn't mess around. If you put some bad plays on tape in practice, in a game, if you lack effort, if you don't stay within the scheme, if you don't understand the scheme, if you make mistakes, he's going to pull your ass and he's going to go with that next player. At the same time, he can maximize players, and hopefully at some point he'll be able to do that with Bryce Huff. Lastly, the Rams poached Dylan McMahon off the Eagles practice squad after suffering a bunch of injuries week one against the Detroit Lions along the offensive line. McMahon, 6th-round pick for the Birds out of NC State. He did not make the initial 53-man roster for Philadelphia, but he was brought back to the practice squad after clearing waivers, and the Rams really had no choice but to go about it in this way in which they had to steal some players off other practice squads and sign McMahon to their active roster because they were down bad along that offensive line. So athletically, I think that Dylan McMahon has some promise. He's agile. He had nearly 50 starts while in college. And at NC State last year, I thought he showed some good stuff on tape. Didn't make the initial 53. Now Philadelphia is pretty light as far as center depth goes. Nick Gates might be the next man up, which is a huge concern. The bright spot is Cam Jurgens looks to be the real deal. Be sure to give me a follow on social media at Chase_Senior. I'm on X. I'm on Instagram. I put out a lot of football content on the social media pages, so give me a follow and be sure to say what's up. Couple of super chats that came in. The King Dylan, 96 YT. Eagles 13-4. I'm calling it. No doubts. So the King Dylan sent in the 20 earlier. Adds another 5. Brandon Snyder with the 5. Huff, Sweat, Smith. They were all affected by field conditions. They had no issues flying by linemen, but couldn't cut on the outside foot to get to the quarterback. How about the NFL just botching the whole situation of this playing surface? You have to know better. You are a billion-dollar brand and company. You are raking in cash. Primetime matchups are still setting records for the highest broadcasts and audiences that the NFL has ever seen here in 2024 as the game continues to grow as far as its outreach. And you have a game in Brazil in which you're playing on a shitty surface. And then in Super Bowl 57, your super chat reminds me of Super Bowl 57 when the Eagles pass rushers were slipping all damn game against the Kansas City Chiefs. And that surface had never been used before for an NFL game. It really is inexcusable when you're that rich of a business. I agree, Brandon Snyder. And maybe at the link, great surface, that pass rush can get back on track. Big Al Williams with the $5 super chat. Saquon is a beast. Who's going to stop our ground attack? I'll tell you who. Nobody. I love it, Big Al. And then the King Dylan again. If the Eagles don't go 13-4, I'll shave off my beard, guaranteed. Now, you have to do that live on Eagles Now. How about that? If they don't go 13-4, you shave your beard live here on the show. Flipping the Bird 85, one of our super chat OGs. We're bringing Reddick back. We're actually going to talk about that coming up next. Another $5 super chat from Philly Don. I love that name, Philly Don. Kind of sounds like Dom DeSandro. You living in South Philly? I have to give Huff another game before I pass judgment on him. Let's see how he plays on a good field. That is completely fair. So we're already up to $47 in super chats. If we get to 100 total, I'm doing a beer boot in the Saquon Barkley jersey that I walk into work today and it's on my desk. How awesome is that? All super chats get a shout out. $10 smelling salts. We owe a Fly Eagles Fly for the King Dylan. Whoever sends in the most $50 individual super chats in the month of September, we will give you a customized Eagles jersey. And if we get to 100 total, it's a beer boot in a Saquon jersey. All right, this is for the King Dylan. Fly, Eagles, fly on the road to victory. Fight, Eagles, fight. Score a touchdown, 1, 2, 3. Hit 'em low, hit 'em high, and watch our Eagles fly. Fly, Eagles, fly on the road to victory. E-A-G-L-E-S, Eagles! Let's go. Best fight song in the National Football League. Cool Rain saying, fun fact, the Eagles were the most watched team in Australia and New Zealand. They are probably bringing a game to Melbourne next year. Who knows? If that ends up happening, I would love to go. I have family in Melbourne, and that would be absolutely incredible. So hopefully it does happen, and hopefully I can go. That would be quite the trip for the Chat Sports family.
The King Dylan.
The King Dylan. You have yourself a deal. If the Eagles don't go 13-4, I'll shave my beard live All right. So they have to win 13 or more games, the King Dylan. I love the boldness of that.
How long is your beard right now? Are we talking like a huge, James Harden kind of beard, or what are we talking?
Yeah. I'm curious. What's the beard look like? You can send it to me on X or Instagram at Chase_senior. And the Cool Rains comment, Savraka, Aussie, back in the day. Aaron Sipas, Aussie. Jordan Mailata, Aussie. Laken Vakalahi, Aussie. 4 Aussies who have played for the Eagles. All right. We had Flippin' the Bird asking about Haason Reddick a little bit earlier. It's funny that you asked that because we're about to talk about Haason Reddick next here, live on Eagles Now. That is segment number 2, which is coming your way. And should the Eagles try to bring back the Camden, New Jersey native? Dennis Designs, our moderator here today. Ethan Hoffman said nobody should worry about Bryce. The field sucked. Here's why you should worry, though. He still played less than 50% of the snaps and didn't do anything within those snaps. The snap load is what I'm worried about. He has a Jason Kelsey beard. That's a pretty damn good beard. Pretty damn good beard. All right, segment number 2 coming your way here on Eagles Now. Be sure to hit that thumbs up icon, like the video if you haven't already done so, and let's keep the show moving. What's up? What's good? Welcome into the show. This is Philadelphia Eagles Now. I'm Chase Senior, and coming up, we're going to dive into this fascinating discussion. Should the Eagles bring back edge rusher Haason Reddick, given their issues at the edge rusher spot in trying to generate pressure on the quarterback? And with that, we naturally segue to this. This is today's poll question. It'll be today's pinned comment. Do the Eagles need to upgrade at edge rusher? Type Y for yes or type N for no. As for the latest on Haason Reddick, who grew up in Camden, New Jersey, he played his college football at Temple University under Matt Rule while I was there at TU calling Temple games, and had a great 2-year stretch with Philadelphia. 16 sacks his first year, 11 sacks his second year. He gets traded to the Jets for a 3rd-round pick, which can become a 2nd, yet he's nowhere to be found for New York. He is the only player in the NFL still holding out. And he skipped the Jets season opener against the San Francisco 49ers this past Monday. And the Jets pass rush against that Niners team certainly missed him, and New York could certainly use him. They do have a talented front. They don't have a lot of depth, especially at that edge rusher spot. He was their biggest free agent acquisition, and they haven't found a way to pay him the contract or the money that he wants. And because of that, Reddick has said, you know what, I'm good. I'll just stay home until I get the deal that I want. Now, why is Haason Reddick holding out? In 2022, the Eagles signed him to a bargain deal. And I said that at the time when I first took over Eagles Now. It was a 3-year contract worth $45 million. But the final year of Reddick's deal, which is this year here in 2024, is non-guaranteed. 14 and a quarter. He is now tied for 19th in average annual value among edge rushers. Now you can look at this conversation in a couple of ways. If Haason Reddick is looking for top 5 edge rusher money, I wouldn't pay him $25 million because I don't think that he's in that class with TJ Watt, Nick Bosa, Max Crosby, and those types of players. If all he wants is that money guaranteed, what are the New York Jets doing? You already gave up a 3rd, which can become a 2nd. This has become a messy situation for you. You couldn't get after Brock Purdy after the first couple of drives of the game on Monday Night Football, and then San Francisco played bully ball, and they ran it right down your throats. You got to find a way, as you're looking to end this playoff drought, to make Reddick happy. And if you're going to trade for him and you know he wants a new deal, you still pull the trigger and then you don't pay him? What a dumb strategy for a dumb organization. As for the Reddick timeline, he got traded by Howie Roseman on March 29th. And whereas the Jets have gone about this in a dumb way, Howie Roseman played his cards beautifully. There was pressure on him to trade Reddick. He kept waiting and waiting and waiting. And then he was able to maximize value, and then he was able to sign Bryce Huff away from the Jets. On April 1st, Haason Reddick showed up for his introductory press conference with New York and has not been with the team since. Not during OTAs, not during mandatory minicamp, not during training camp or the preseason, and he skipped the first game of the year. And here's what Jeremy Fowler of ESPN had to report on the Reddick front. Their options appear clear. You keep him on the reserve list until he reports, or you attempt to trade him closer to the deadline. The latter, meaning the Jets trading him, is looking more likely according to multiple league executives. Now, Joe Douglas, who is the Jets general manager, used to be the right-hand man to Howie Roseman in the Eagles front office. I like his talent evaluation. He was with the Baltimore Ravens before Philadelphia, and I thought that was a good hire by New York. And sometimes when it comes down to paying players, it can be the owner's decision. But just what an unmitigated disaster for the Jets, who can never seem to get out of their own way. Furthermore, here's what an NFC executive had to say about Haason Reddick. Not sure the Jets have a choice. They wouldn't get similar value back, a third rounder, but it would be hard for the Jets to pay him at this point, and he clearly doesn't want to be there. Both sides badly mismanaged the situation. Which brings us to the topic at hand for today's show. If Haason Reddick is available for a trade and the Eagles need pass rushing help, should Howie Roseman go thug life? Should he go savage mode? And should he do the funniest thing ever in reacquiring Howie Roseman? Because we know that Howie is very aggressive. We know that Howie can be a savage. And should he try to bring him back? We're going to talk about that coming up just around the corner. But first, let's mention today's sponsor. That is Game Time. What time is it? Game Time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the app, create an account, use the code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. That's the code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS. Terms apply. First purchase only for $20 off. If you're looking for the best seats at the lowest price guaranteed, Game Time has you covered. This is not just an app so that you can go to sporting events. You can also additionally go to concerts, comedy shows, theater events, and more. You can see the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive, and you can access tickets right from your phone. If you want to, you can easily resell tickets. If you've never been to an Eagles game, you have to go. Spend hours in the lead up to kickoff tailgating, go to the game and be a part of a raucous and lively atmosphere. And during the game, you can sing the Fly Eagles Fly theme song with nearly 70,000 Eagles fans. And I have good news for everybody. Still plenty of tickets available for Falcons Eagles on Monday Night Football. If you want to get your tickets now, you can do that. You see the view from your seat right here. Or if you want to look down at Lincoln Financial Field from the bird's eye view, you can pick which yard line you want to sit at. You want to go to a Philadelphia Phillies game. They've been hot over the last couple of weeks. Best atmosphere in Major League Baseball. You can do that as well. So, one more time, download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your purchase. Terms apply, and that is for the first purchase only. So, now we segue to this. Should the Eagles actually entertain bringing back Haason Reddick? This has been a highly productive player as an edge rusher. This is partially a problem for Philadelphia at the edge rusher spot because Bryce Huff, who the Eagles gave $34 million in guaranteed money to, is MIA. He's in the witness protection program. What is going on with Bryce Huff? Vic Fangio said on Wednesday that in order for him to play, he needs to separate himself from the other guys. That's not good when you paid so much financial capital for this player who's coming off a career-high 10 sacks last year with the New York Jets. He was fourth at his position in snaps played at less than 50% against Green Bay in Week 1. Eagles giving him all that guaranteed money, and there were certainly red flags in the preseason where he had to play a lot, and Vic Fangio never seemed to be fully bought in on Bryce Huff. To me, it looks like this is a Howie Roseman signing, but Vic Fangio was kind of iffy on whether or not he would be a scheme fit. And against the Packers, we saw nothing. No sacks, no pressures, no hurries, and edge rusher was a little bit of a concern for me going into this year. It's become a greater concern. Now, hopefully, it was a byproduct of that grass surface in Brazil being terrible, and the Eagles' pass rush can get going. But if they can't, I know the secondary is revamped. I know the secondary is improved, but it's going to make that secondary's job on the back end a lot harder if there's not that pass rush, which can get after the quarterback and move the quarterback off the spot in this pass-happy era. And you look at the Eagles snap counts against Green Bay, Josh Sweat leading edge rushers. He played 41 snaps. That was 61% of the ball game. I thought Brandon Graham played a really good game, even at his age. 15th and final season for him. 32 snaps for BG, good against the run, able to collapse the pocket on a couple of occasions. That accounted for 48% of the defensive snaps for Philadelphia. Nolan Smith logged 31 snaps. That's good for his development. That was at 46%. And Bryce Huff, who last year played less than 50% of the snaps for New York, logged 45% of the snaps against Green Bay with only 30. So maybe it's not a trade now, and I don't think it's going to be a trade now. But you think back to that Jeremy Fowler report, which we just mentioned. He said maybe the Jets trade him closer to the deadline. Could Philadelphia reevaluate the edge rusher spot, keep an eye on that position over the next few weeks? They have a very early bye week in week 5, and then later maybe elect to pull the trigger on bringing Reddick back. Because if Huff continues to be MIA, this deal could make a lot of sense. What is also an issue with bringing back Haason Reddick as the next portion of this conversation, though, is that Fangio will ask edge rushers to drop back in coverage. And I think that Fangio, Reddick, they had a conversation when Fangio first got hired, and Fangio let Reddick know his expectations and what his role could be. And Reddick was like, I'm not really a fan of dropping back in coverage. It's not my strength. I want to get after the quarterback. I want to sack the quarterback. And over the last 4 years, I've been one of the most productive edge rushers in the game. How about this list right here? Most sacks in the National Football League the last 4 years. TJ Watt at number 1, 48 sacks. Myles Garrett right behind him, 47. Nick Bosa, 44.5. Micah Parsons at 41.5. Trey Hendrickson at 39.5. So Haason Reddick is 6th for the most sacks over the last 4 years. That is elite territory and elite company to be in. He's ahead of Chris Jones, who of course plays defensive tackle. He's ahead of Max Crosby, Danielle Hunter, and Khalil Mack. So there's an argument to be made for Reddick to get paid more. How much does he want to get paid? Does he just want that final year guaranteed? I imagine he wants the money guaranteed, and then he wants a contract extension as he's entering and on an expiring deal. For Philadelphia, though, we know what he's capable of bringing to the table, and the Eagles have to do a better job of getting after the quarterback. That was a concern in the preseason. It was a concern week 1, and that's what Reddick flourishes with. That role of having that speed, bend, twitch coming off the edge to put pressure on the opposing signal caller. So we round out with this. Should the Eagles bring back Haason Reddick? R for reunion, NYJ for you think he's going to stay with the New York Jets. Chime in. Let me know. 2 segments down, 2 more to get to. Don't you dare go anywhere. We are $48 away from doing a beer boot in a Saquon Barkley Eagles jersey, which I just got my hands on today. Whoever sends in the most $50 super chats throughout the month of September, we're going to give you a customized Eagles Now jersey. $20 super chat, we're going to sing the Fly Eagles Fly fight song. $10 for some smelling salts, and all super chats will get a shout out here on the show today. We've had a lot of 5s. We had a 20 come in from the King Dylan. Who's going to beat the King Dylan to be our super chat MVP today? Who is it? Who is it? Segment number 3 is coming up here in a moment. We're going to explain how Philadelphia can dominate the Atlanta Falcons.
We had Cool Reigns, Eric Harris, Vendetta for Life Records, the King Dylan, Dennis Zions, and Anna Christian all saying, let's have a little reunion with Haason Reddick. Let's bring him back. So some of the people here are in favor of bringing Reddick back to Philly.
This has to be an error because our poll question is, are you concerned about Bryce Huff? It says that there's 1 vote in, and it's no. There's no way only 1 person has voted in that poll. So let me end that, and let's start a new poll here. Okay. That's weird. Oh! Kellen. He said, hold my beer. Here's a 50. And we're going to take down a beer boot in a Saquon Barkley jersey after segment number 4 as we make our way toward segment number 3. The King Dylan, a $50 super chat. E-A-G-L-E-S, Eagles! Dennis Designs with the 10. He said Benchmatics, and that's going to allow me to do some smelling salts. These are strong. Says Wake the Dead. Woo! Woo! $50 super chat from our super chat MVP, the King Dylan. Is anybody going to be able to beat the King Dylan? That's awesome. All right, let me get this new poll in. Should the Eagles trade for Haason Reddick?
Philly Don 23 with the $2 super chat.
Philly Don, I want to know, why wasn't Hunt active? He's a rookie. He's a raw player. Not too much of a surprise. And as we said, like Bryce Huff, he was 4th among defensive ends / edge rushers in snaps. Jalix Hunt probably wouldn't have played and doesn't really give the team that much special teams value. Xavier the God, I'm broke, I have no money. You don't have to send in a super chat to be a legend here on the show. All you got to do, hit that thumbs up icon, like the video, comment, subscribe, share it. That's all we ask. So segment number 3 is coming up. This is going to be a very informative segment, and we're going to explain how the Eagles can dominate the Falcons and things to be concerned about if you're Philadelphia going into this game. So that's going to be segment number 3. We'll talk Devin White for segment number 4. Then we'll do the beer boot in the Saquon Barkley jersey, thanks to our guy, Dylan. All right, segment number 3. Let's keep it moving. Coming up on today's Philadelphia Eagles Now, I'm going to break down the biggest concerns that the Atlanta Falcons pose against the Eagles in Week 2 on Monday Night Football, and we're also going to explain how Philadelphia can dominate Atlanta. Earlier this week, we did a full-blown preview for this Eagles-Falcons matchup, a good tilt in the NFC, and now this is pretty much our second preview to make you as informed as possible as an Eagles fan going into this Week 2 game. Speaking of that, we will be live once again right here on Philadelphia Eagles Now for our Eagles-Falcons watch party. Last week, Week 1 against Green Bay, 300,000 people tuned into the show. It was the most watched Eagles watch party on YouTube. Shoot, let's break those records and let's get those numbers for this game as well. Hit that subscribe button, and if you want Eagles coverage every single day, I have you covered right here on the program. So the stage is set. Falcons, Eagles, Lincoln Financial Field, Eagles home opener, Monday, September 16th, 8:15 p.m. Eastern in South Philadelphia. The atmosphere is going to be incredible with the Eagles fans loading up the parking lots hours before kickoff, taking down some drinks, and then once that game gets underway, hopefully Kirk Cousins is quaking in his boots. The Eagles, 6.5-point favorites coming off that Week 1 win against the Packers, and the total over-under for this game set at 47. Of course, those betting numbers probably going to fluctuate all throughout the week in the lead-up to kickoff. My biggest concern for Philadelphia and how Philadelphia can dominate the Falcons, they have to play a clean football game. And for Jalen Hurts, he has to protect the ball. On that back end, the Falcons do have a good safety tandem, led by Jesse Bates and Justin Simmons, 2 players who have been really good safeties for a long time in the National Football League. They have combined over the last 3 years for 19 interceptions. They are ball-hawking safeties on that back end. And Jalen Hurts in his last 10 games, he's turned the ball over a lot. He's thrown 11 passing touchdowns. He's also thrown 9 interceptions. He has run for 8 touchdowns, but he has fumbled the football 7 times, and 3 of those have been lost fumbles. So that is a touchdown to interception rate in totality, passing, rushing, fumbles, picks, to 19 touchdowns and 12 giveaways. that's unacceptable for Jalen Hurts, a $200 million quarterback who's in year 5. And sticking with that Falcons secondary, A.J. Terrell, he got compensated this offseason, paid by Atlanta. He's also a really good corner on that outside. One thing that you will notice about this Falcons team, they're pretty top-heavy. They have a lot of notable players who have name recognition, and there are some stars. There are some really legitimate playmakers on both sides of the ball for Atlanta, but they don't have a lot of depth, as we're going to discuss throughout the show here today. But A.J. Terrell, really good player. Last year, overall Pro Football Focus grade of 74.5, a run defense grade of 70, a coverage grade of 74.6, passer rating of 95.7, and that came on 611 coverage snaps. He did not intercept a pass last year, but he is looked at as one of the top lockdown corners in the National Football League. The bottom line here for point number 1, protect the football. The Eagles are and were lucky to beat Green Bay after losing the turnover battle 3-1, because in the NFL, teams that lose a turnover battle, oftentimes they lose about 80% of the time. Number 2, Philadelphia, with this really good offensive line, has to contain Matthew Judon on the edge. The former Patriot, traded to Atlanta right before the season, is still really good and talented in generating a pass rush and getting after the quarterback. Last 4 years, he did only play 4 games last year with a torn biceps, I believe is what he suffered. But you look at the sample size and the resume in the 3 previous seasons. In 2022, he logged 15.5 sacks. 2021, 12.5 sacks. And then in 2020, 6 sacks. This Eagles offensive line did maul Green Bay in week 1 in Brazil, especially as the game wore on, and Philadelphia was able to wear down Green Bay, especially late, with that 7.5-minute drive, 16 plays, nearly 70 yards to ice that football game away. This Eagles offensive line depth chart, this is an excellent offensive line unit for Philadelphia. And I loved what I saw from Cam Jurgens in his first start as a center in a regular season game. How about the way that Mekhi Becton played? When you have a right guard who's 6'7", 340 pounds, everybody along this offensive line was pancaking some of those Packers defenders, and they broke their will at the end of the game. So the offensive line depth for Philadelphia, definitely a little bit of a concern, but this starting 5 is really good, and they're going to have to come to play because that Falcons front, they do have some talent led by Matthew Judon coming off that edge. If you think the Eagles will move to 2-0 and beat the Atlanta Falcons, I want you to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video right now. Plenty more to get to here on the show, but first, let's give a shout out to our sponsor, Game Time, the best ticketing app in the entire industry. Game Time Picks is a tremendous feature. Curation makes it easier to save more on sports, but this isn't just an app if you want to go to a sporting event. You can get tickets to a concert, a comedy show, a theater show. All-in pricing is also a great tool where you can toggle this feature. It shows you the total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. How many times have you been on other ticketing apps and you think that you're paying one price, then you go to check out and it's like $200 more than that because of the surprise fees at checkout? It's a joke. I also love the Game Time app because they give you seat views. You get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. I love Game Time's price guarantee. If you find a lower price somewhere else, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the app, create an account, use the code ChatSports, get $20 off your purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code ChatSports, CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Terms apply. First purchase only. Plenty of tickets available for this Eagles-Falcons game, Monday Night Football, South Philadelphia, Lincoln Financial Field. We move forward with talking about the Falcons' prized free agent possession, and that is Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins has put up monster numbers throughout his NFL career. I have a lot of respect for the made man that he's become at the quarterback spot. He's made a lot of cheddar. He's made Pro Bowls. He's put up crazy production. But right now, coming off that torn Achilles from last year, he is an extremely limited player. And this is an opportunity for this Eagles defensive line to eat. Because Kirk Cousins right now is a statue in the pocket. His week 1 numbers against Pittsburgh, not good. He couldn't move around. He didn't look comfortable. That Steelers defense is one of the best defensive units in the National Football League, led by TJ Watt, who might be a top 5 player in the NFL. But the game plan for Atlanta wasn't good either. Was that because they knew that Cousins was limited? Maybe, but this is a far cry from what the Falcons were expecting when they gave Cousins $100 million in guaranteed money this offseason. 16 of 26, $155 through the air, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. He also had a fumble. His QBR, a lackluster 28.9, and then his quarterback rating, a lowly 59. And how about this? This is pretty wild. The Atlanta Falcons ran 1 play from under center against Pittsburgh. Everything else was out of the shotgun and out of the pistol. So Kirk Cousins clearly limited. He can't move around, has no maneuverability in the pocket, and the offensive play calling and play design is limited too. And I thought that offense became very predictable. So with him being that statue in the pocket, it's going to be easy for the Eagles pass rush to get home. And if they can muddy up the pocket through the interior, bring some pressure off the edge, Kirk Cousins is prone to turning the football over. And what will the Atlanta Falcons try to do to slow down and negate that Eagles pass rush? They're going to throw the ball very quickly to get the ball out of his hands, to try to put the ball in the hands of their playmakers so that they can pick up yards after the catch. So the Eagles have to be aware of that, and I'm sure Vic Fangio is cognizant of that fact. If the Eagles cannot pressure Kirk Cousins, not good at all. Like, they can't just throw quick hitters all throughout the night. They're going to have to throw the ball downfield, but that short and intermediate pass game can set up the long game. And if that long game gets going and the Eagles pass rush can't get home, that's a red flag, because that would be back-to-back weeks in which the defensive line specifically has struggled to generate a consistent rush. My keys to the game here for Hurts: have to play clean and stop being reckless. We took a look at the numbers a little bit earlier. Not good. 11 touchdowns, 9 picks in his last 10 games. He simply has to be better. I want to see Kellen Moore continue to be in his creative bag as far as his usage goes. For Saquon Barkley, run him between the tackles, run him out wide, line him up out of the slot, use him as a receiver out of the backfield, on wheel routes, on pop passes, on shovel passes, on screen passes. Find a way to get the ball in the hands of your special playmaker. Utilize A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. They're so good complementing one another. You have A.J. Terrell, who's a really good corner. Outside of that, their DBs at the cornerback spot, not all that good. 2 really good safeties, but at the cornerback spot, they might have to rely on double coverage a lot. So could we see Jahan Dotson get involved after he was really just used as a motion man last week? The defense has to limit explosive plays, and as I mentioned, get pressure on Kirk Cousins. So my prediction in this game, I do think that the Eagles cover the spread, which right now, as of this recording, is 6.5 points. I think the Eagles can win by 2 scores, 31-22. Go Birds. Oh! Another $50 super chat from my boy, 2 Minute Tennis. He said 1-0, baby. 1-0. Dallas sucks. EAGLES. Dallas sucks. Dallas sucks. Dallas sucks. And EAGLES. Eagles. 2 Minute Tennis. Now a part of our super chat competition. We do owe a beer boot after segment number 4 in the Saquon Barkley jersey, so I will do that, and we are $30 away from 200 in super chats. Chip, if we get to 200, what are you doing for the people?
You know what? We're 30 away from 200. We get there, I'll give y'all a beer boot on this Wednesday.
Let's do it.
Only 30 away.
So we're taking down some brewskis already, and then if we get to 200, Chip will get involved. All right, we have one more segment to get to. It'll last about 10 minutes. So about 10 more minutes of content to get to here on today's Eagles Now. Kane Angel said, hey, I didn't know you're live. Do you have your notifications on? Hit that bell icon, turn on your notices, and hit all. Therefore, anytime we push out a show, anytime we're live, you'll be notified. The super chats are not pooling in our system right now. It's been so Jekyll and Hyde. We did acknowledge those super chats, though, and we can mirror them later after the segment if we want to, or no? Okay. We should be able to show those super chats coming up after this segment, but that's why we didn't pop them up on the screen. Either way, we love y'all for sending in those supers. Okay, let's round out with this. The King Dylan gets us to 200. All right, Chip's going to partake in the drinking festivities as well. Again, we'll do that after the segment. Oh! Dennis Designs with the 50. A Chip beer boot, bench of Untamed Maddox. No one likes us. No one likes us. No one likes us. We don't care. We're from Philly, fucking Philly. No one likes us. We don't care. No one likes us. No one likes us. No one likes us. We don't care. We're the Eagles, the fucking Eagles. No one likes us. We don't care. E-A-G-L-E-S. Eagles. Let's go. 2-minute tennis Super Chat MVP. King Dylan, Super Chat MVP. Dennis Designs, Super Chat MVP. And now a part of the September competition. We're already up to 250 in supers. We about to get to 300 and mess around real quick. All right, segment number 4 coming up. And then we'll do that beer boot in the Saquon Barkley jersey. Hey there, you're watching Philadelphia Eagles Now by Chat Sports. Chase Sr. here with you, no matter where you are or how you're tuned in. As always, I appreciate you for making today's Eagles Now a part of your day. And what I want to talk about, Devin White has been benched, beat out by Nakobe Dean and Zach Bond. Vic Fangio even acknowledged that. We talked about this on the show a couple of weeks ago following that report from Jeff McLean, which a lot of people didn't discuss at the time. So on today's show, will Philadelphia trade linebacker Devin White to a linebacker-needy team? A lot of thoughts on this and the reasoning behind all of this conversation coming up here on the Eagles Now Rundown. Before we dive in, we are on the road to 100,000 subscribers. It is one of my big goals during the 2024 season as the host of this show to get that silver 100,000 subscriber plaque from YouTube. We are 17,768 people away. So if you want Eagle shows on a daily basis, year-round, that are insightful, informative, entertaining, thought-provoking, that involve you because you help steer the ship as well, hit that subscribe button. Devin White, is he going to get dealt by Howie Roseman? Let's talk about it here. As for the cap situation and the cap ramifications, the Eagles would save about $1.1 million in cap space if they traded linebacker Devin White. If the Eagles cut him, they would have to eat about $1 million. So really, if the Eagles were to move off of the former second-team All-Pro linebacker, it would make a lot of sense from a cap perspective because you're not saving any money. And from a roster standpoint, I don't think it makes sense either. Devin White's contract, it's kind of unfortunate if he's not going to be able to contribute to this team, although to see a former third-round pick start to flourish in Nakobe Dean, that is the positive aspect of this conversation. But the Eagles gave Devin White $3.5 million in guaranteed money. This year he has a cap hit of $1.7 million, and he's set to earn in cash $4 million in total this year. Devin White is a very interesting player. He struggled before signing with Philadelphia, so his stock was down. There wasn't much of a market as far as teams being interested or him getting the contract that he was seeking. And he has really declined since being an All-Pro. And him getting beat out, still a surprise to me, but Buccaneers fans saw this coming because he was a declining player. He really struggled under Todd Bowles. He wanted a new deal. He didn't get it. He started to pout. He demanded a trade that wasn't fulfilled. And then this offseason, the former team captain for Tampa Bay, again, didn't really have much of a market. And this is probably why. When you look at his Pro Football Focus numbers over the last 4 years, not good going into 2024. In 2020, this is when he was an All-Pro. A 43.4 overall grade, run defense grade of 41, a pass rush grade of 85.9. He's really good in that area, and a coverage grade of 39.8. In 2021, 17 games played, 36.2 overall grade, a run defense grade of 29, a pass rush grade of 65.9, and a coverage grade of 43.5. In 2022, 45.5 overall grade, a run defense grade of 42.5, a pass rush grade still good at 71, and then a coverage grade of 47.6. And then last year with the Bucs, he was also benched in that wild card game pretty much against Philadelphia. The overall grade of 46, run defense grade dropped to 30.8 from the season prior, a pass rush grade of 64.1, the lowest of his last 4 years, and then a coverage grade, which was the best, at 56.9. He is an aggressive player who plays at a high speed, high velocity. Because of that aggressiveness, he can take himself out of place sometimes. He can over pursue. He can miss tackles. He can miss assignments. But I've seen him play at a really high level. And during that Super Bowl run for Tampa Bay, when the Buccaneers won the Super Bowl with Tom Brady leading the charge, Devin White was flying around. He was one of my favorite players in the NFL that year because he was physical, he was fast, he was involved really at all three levels of the defense. And it seemed as though in that playoff run, he was making so many disruptive and impactful plays. Now, you think about who Vic Fangio is as a defensive coordinator. Dunmore guy, that's the neighboring town of Scranton, an old school coal mining, iron-producing town. He grew up under Jack Henzis, a legendary high school football coach who defines football guy. Vic Fangio is old school. He is regimented. He is strict. He will call you out. And if you mess up, you're going to be in the doghouse. And clearly, after Devin White was the starting linebacker for much of training camp, Vic Fangio saw that he struggled a little bit. And in that preseason opener against Baltimore, there was one play when I went back and watched the tape in which he took a bad angle. It led to a big run. Now, Baldy's breakdowns, he did a breakdown on Devin White, and he's like, man, this guy is a silver bullet type of train. He is, but when you play at that speed again, sometimes you can over pursue, and if you read a play wrong, you're too late to react to that play because your speed takes you out of the play. So clearly Devin White struggled a little bit, but this is also a good developmental story for Philadelphia because of the emergence of Nakobe Dean. And on Wednesday, Vic Fangio said that Nakobe Dean is going to be the starter at off-ball linebacker alongside Zach Bond, even when Devin White is healthy. Now, Fangio added that White will still have a role with this team, but Nakobe Dean's going to be the starter moving forward, and I agree with that decision because of how he played in training camp, how he played in the preseason, and also how he performed against Green Bay. I thought he made a lot of disruptive plays against the run, against the pass, laid a couple of big hits. He was solid in coverage in moments, and he has this innate ability to really read and diagnose plays because he has a really high football IQ. Now, his Pro Football Focus grades were not good, but this is why you can't always trust the analytics department, right? Because PFF gave him a 29.3 overall grade against Green Bay, a run defense grade of 34.5, a pass rush grade of 50.2, and a coverage grade of 40.2. But I think Nakobe Dean played a lot better than that because what did our eyes tell us? Our eyes told us that Nakobe Dean was all over the place. It was so noticeable when we watched that game. We were like, Nakobe Dean is out there, and he's causing havoc for that Packers offense. Now, did he miss some plays in coverage? There's no doubt about that. He got hit with allowing that Jaden Reed 70-yard touchdown play to happen. I don't think it was on Nakobe Dean, but he did give up some big plays in the pass game. But keep in mind, we're talking about an inexperienced player here in Nakobe Dean who hasn't played a lot at the NFL level because he barely played as a rookie. Last year, he got hurt, had those foot issues, but he did say this offseason, I'm not back, I'm just better. And we are seeing a better version of Nakobe Dean for the Eagles here in the early portion of the season. As for Zach Bond, it's hard for any of us to not be impressed with what he did against Green Bay. He impressed his defensive coordinator in Vic Fangio. And Fangio said we'll continue to utilize his versatility in coverage and around the line of scrimmage as a guy who can get after the quarterback. Bond's Pro Football Focus grades against Green Bay. He graded out very well. And this actually makes sense to me when we point to the analytics. Overall grade of 76.2, a pass rush grade of 77.9, a run defense grade of 62.4, and a coverage grade of 78.9. And Zach Bond really, this entire offseason, reeked of a Vic Fangio signing. We had heard some of the rumblings of him playing off-ball linebacker and not edge, which is what he primarily did with the New Orleans Saints. And despite him not doing a lot of off-ball linebacker stuff in his career, dropping back in coverage, so far so good, and he's impressed his defensive coordinator. And I think that Vic Fangio, credit to him, he saw this coming. We thought maybe he's going to be that Andrew Van Ginkel role, but Andrew Van Ginkel is primarily an edge rusher. Zach Bond has become a weapon for this team because he has versatility to his game, and he can kind of do it all. So we round out with this. Should the Eagles trade Devin White? T for trade, K for keep. If another team comes calling for Devin White and they offer you something good, maybe that moves the needle. But my take, I don't think Philadelphia is deep enough at the linebacker spot to pull the trigger here. Because if Bond or Dean were to get hurt, you're extremely thin. And then you're relying on Jeremiah Trotter Jr. and Ben Van Sumeren. Wow, what a great show today. Good content, good audience, and some crazy super chats. Because the King Dylan just sent in another 20. This will be my last donation for the night. Got to get back to my video editing. Fly, Eagles, fly. That's awesome. Fly, Eagles, fly, and the King Dylan. Let me check out your YouTube channel here. What you got cooked up? 250 subscribers. Some WWE Bad Blood predictions. That was 2 days ago. Some WWE stuff. I like it. The King Dylan. Good luck in your content creating game here on YouTube. All right, we got to do a beer boot. Chip, you want to give the people shout outs, show those super chats? I'll get the beer boot ready, and I'll throw on the Saquon Barkley jersey when we do that. Shout out to the recent commenter club, Claude Butler, Willard, Gerald, Kane Angel, Cool Rains, Dennis Designs, Jack White. If Howie is missed on Huff and Devin White, why do you guys praise him so much? Well, did you see what Saquon Barkley did week 1? How about the wide receiver tandem of A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith? How about Dallas Goedert? How about this offensive line with Jordan Mailata, Landon Dickerson, Cam Jurgens, Mekhi Becton, all drafted and developed by this Howie Roseman regime? Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis have potential. How about bringing back C.J. Gardner-Johnson? How about how Quinyon Mitchell looked in his debut as a pro? I think that Cooper DeJean is going to start turning some heads as he gets more acclimated with this team. Philadelphia is one of the more talented teams in the NFL, and financially they're in a good spot. That's a credit to Howie Roseman. Any team is going to have misses. What about Yannick Ngakoue? More of a 4-3 guy. How about Milton Williams? Moro Ajomo? They played well at defensive tackle week 1. Just got done talking about Nakobe Dean, Zach Bond. So look, again, teams are going to have misses. Howie Roseman has had plenty, but the best GMs in the game have plenty of misses. So we'll do that beer boot coming up. Trying to give you all some shout outs with the super chats, but we're dealing with some technical difficulties here. All good. Just give some shout outs to the people. I'll get that beer boot going. Yeah, cool. All right, awesome. I'll be right back getting that beer boot ready. Chip will do his drinking apparatus as well. What did you say you were doing? Beer bong? I'll get you that. And I'll be right back.
All right. Let's run through these supers that we got here. All right. So we got King Dylan, and we're going to go bottom up. So we're going to start with the most recent ones, and then we'll go up as well. We got King Dylan with a 20. King Dylan's been peppering 20s, 30s, I think a 50 as well at one point here. So, yeah, 50. King Dylan's been going crazy. This will be my last donation for the night. Got to get back to my video editing. Fly, Eagles, fly, baby. King Dylan, thank you so much for that. And then we had a couple crazy ones here. Dennis with the 50 says, Chip, beer boot, bench, Maddox. My beer boot is coming up. Maddox was not great in week 1. I think it just kind of passed his time now. He had his years, and that's fine. But I think now it's, time to move on to some other younger players. King Dylan again with another 30. Just an absolute legend. We appreciate that. Then we had Philly Don, 23. Got to give Becton some big props. Dude is a beast, and I'm surprised with how well Mekhi Becton has played, man. He has come in as a player who had high draft pedigree, drafted by the New York Jets, was supposed to be, one of the best tackles in the league, and started off well, but wasn't able to stay healthy, and then I think those injuries kind of affected him on the field. But look, at guard for the Eagles, he was great throughout training camp, and week 1, he was spectacular. So just love what I'm seeing from Mekhi Becton. Not going to give Tyler Steen the chance to get that starting spot back. We had this 50 from 2 Minute Tennis, 1-0, baby. 1-0. Dallas sucks. Fly, Eagles, fly, baby. 1-0. Look, you're either 0-1 or you're 1-0. The Birds are 1-0. Hope we can keep that going. Against the Falcons coming up here on Monday night. But look, the Packers were a team that a lot of people had as real contenders in the NFC, so to come out and beat them, just huge. Huge, baby. You're 1-0. Just want to go 1-0 each week, man. And then this was back-to-back. This is from, we got the King Dylan with the 50, and then we're all caught up there from the ones that we had before with all those 5s that came in. So shout out to everybody who's hanging out with us, sending in supers, just hanging out, commenting, everything. It's been a great stream, man. Been a great live show, 4 segs. Now we're going to do some drinking. How about that? How about that on a Wednesday? How about that on a Wednesday? What up, Don Ackerley? Kate Angel, Dallas sucks. Not referring to Dallas Goddard. No, not Dallas Goddard. What up, Carol? Cool Rains. Yeah, the only Dallas we like here. The only Dallas we like here. Yes, sir. It's time. Time to get these drinks flowing, baby. Time to get these drinks flowing. Dennis, he's the worst on the team talking about Maddox. The worst player on the team. That's good stuff. You and Maddox, man, you're always going to have that beef.
Dennis and Maddox. If it was a marriage, it would be an early divorce. All right, Saquon jersey's on. Let's go. I like the, I actually have warmed up to the new print here. Now, I don't like how this looks on the green screen.
Yeah.
That is one of the issues with the midnight green on the green screen. It looks a little bit funky. That's why I don't wear a ton of Eagles jerseys when I'm on air. I mostly go with, just polos and stuff. Adam Mordecai with the $20 super chat. Week 1 wasn't perfect, but I love how he responded and buckled down at the end. Every Super Bowl run, we had bumps in the road, and this year feels like one of those years. Look, now they're pulling. How does this make sense?
It doesn't.
It's so frustrating. Adam, thank you for the 20. And what was I saying? I was reading your super chat. Was I going to make a point? Of course I was going to make a point. I talk for a living. Look, for the Eagles to throw a pick from their own 5, first drive, fumble, and give it away in their own territory to Green Bay on the botch snap from Cam Jurgens to Jalen Hurts, for Hurts to throw an interception in the end zone, and for Philadelphia to still put up 35 points, still put up more than 400 yards of offense, still beat a really good Packers team that going into the year I thought was a legitimate player to be an NFC contender, to fare well on third downs and in the red zone defensively, and to go on a 16-play drive, which ate up 7.5 minutes at the end of the game to salt the game away. That's what championship-level teams do. So nearly 80% of the time in the NFL, when you lose a turnover battle, you lose the game. The Eagles turned it over 3 times to the Packers 1, and they still won somewhat convincingly by being able to come back. And yeah, you mentioned some of their mental toughness. Like, they were down multiple times early in that game. We were on the seesaw, a couple of different lead changes. But Philadelphia puts their nuts on the table late, and they come through with a really impressive victory. All right, so the deal today was if we got to $100 in Super Chats, this brand new Saquon jersey that I walked into work to find on my desk today, I would do a beer boot in it. Now, we got up to $290 in Super Chats. We're 10 away from 300. If we can finish with 300, awesome. Chip said if we get past 200, he's going to do his beer bong. That's what he's doing after this. I do owe, and we owe Adam Mordecai Fly Eagles Fly. So we'll do that right after this beer boot. 3 beers, 1 boot. Let's go.
Here we go, baby. Chug, 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 chug. Yes, sir. Come on, baby. Chug, chug, chug. There it is.
Fly, Eagles, fly on the road to victory. Fly, Eagles, fly. Score a touchdown, 1, 2, 3. Hit 'em low, hit 'em high, and watch our Eagles fly. Fly, Eagles, fly on the road to victory. E-A-G-L-E-S, Eagles! Thank you, Adam, for that 20. You're the man. I got to take the tag off this piece. I told you it was new. Derek Brown going to the game on Monday. Very nice. Hope you use the Game Time app and you use the code CHATSPORTS.
Anyone else going to the game?
If you're going to the game, type me.
Who else going to the game?
All right.
What
Chips.
time is it?
What time is it? Game time. Oh, wow. After getting plunked last night, Nick Castellanos hits a 2-run homer.
Yes,
Ball don't
sir.
lie.
Ball never lied.
Castellanos.
The ball has never lied.
Oh, Right to left field.
Cool Rance is going to a game next year. Do you know what game yet? I guess actually you wouldn't know.
Is that are you going to the Australia game? That hasn't been confirmed, right? I would love to go down to Australia. Unfortunately, ticket prices are probably like $1,000 for airfare, but that would be sick.
Can only imagine.
That would be sick. All right, Chip Beer Boot, and then we're out of here.
Yes, sir.
$10 away from 300. If we don't get there, all good.
Let's go, baby. Go Birds!
Go Birds.
Beat those dirty birds in Atlanta.
Scott tuned in from Shippensburg. Nice. Shout out to the PSAC. Like it ain't nothing. Like it ain't nothing.
Woo! Woo!
That's a chip chug for everybody right there.
Woo!
All right. We're about to sign off. I would go to the game in Melbourne if they play it, and a game at the Link. Very cool, brother. Very cool.
Woo!
Jason in Washington State. Chug, chug, chug. All right. We're out of here on Eagles Now. Next time we're live, barring any breaking news, will be Monday Night Football. Falcons, Eagles at the Link as the Birds look to push that record to 2-0. Thanks to everybody who tuned in, all of the real ones who continue to support the show. For Chip, I'm Chase. For the Bird Gang, go Birds! We out.